You know what's funny about being a local celebrity? It's the fact that although you're huge in your town or in your small environment, people forget that you're not well known on a larger stage. And so when you enter into this space where you're gaining so much more recognition and presence and visibility, it is still a shock to your system. But for everyone else, guess what? They expected you to be there anyway. I thought about this because I was watching the Grammys the other night, and one of my favorite artists was there taking pictures and talking to all of the other quote unquote bigwigs that were there winning awards and showing off their talents. And they were excited to just be at that level in the presence of people that they have probably looked up to for their entire careers. And they were posting all of those videos and pictures on Instagram. And I sat back and thought to myself, you are supposed to be on that stage too. You are supposed to be winning awards too, because they are that great. And I want you to know that there are others in your local environment that will have the same feeling about you in your business, because you're meant to be on that larger stage. In all actuality, for those who know your capabilities and what you're able to achieve and produce, you're already there. Let's talk about it. There's a misconception that we don't exist, that somehow our ability to excel at the highest level of our industry is limited, that overcoming barriers as a woman of color would be insurmountable. But what would happen if we decided to venture out on our own despite everything we're up against? I'll tell you. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, a healthcare consultant, consulting coach, high performance fanatic, wife, and proud girl mom. I help transform female professionals into thriving solo consultants. And just like you, I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things. So this podcast is to empower the busy female professionals to move past fear to start and grow a successful consulting business, despite the obstacles you may encounter. We'll dive deep into consulting practice, business strategy, mindset, and more. So grab your cup of coffee or tea if that's your thing, and let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis. And today I want to talk about becoming the go-to expert in your space, in your local area. So not just online, not just in your industry, but locally. How are you able to become that go-to expert, that local celebrity that stands out from the crowd, and where you're able to build a name for yourself more swiftly than you probably can in any other way? And I think this is really a tactic that many people undervalue and oftentimes don't use, because we are so focused on gaining a mega presence online. And while I am one that believes strongly in you prioritizing your online presence and entering into the digital space, I do know that it can be highly valuable to build your audience locally. You know, so much of consulting is built on creating relationships and building relationships over time. I think that's why we lean so heavily oftentimes into networking and going to conferences and trying to get to know others around us. And sometimes it does take getting away, because maybe you're in an industry or a specialty area where there aren't a lot of people like you that you can network with on a higher level that may live in close proximity. But in general, most of us are very close to, or if not just a 30-minute hour drive away from the ability to tap into the local community. And there is so much to be said for being able to create those local connections. I think that is part of the art of consulting that has been lost somewhat, not due to our fault, right? Some of it was mainly because of the pandemic. And let's just be honest, you could not go easily into any setting and be in a mutual space with other people because of all of the restrictions. But now we definitely have the ability to revisit that. And although we have become comfortable with being online and jumping on a Zoom call or trying to somehow reach out beyond our local territory and our local area, I don't want us to miss the benefit of being the local go-to expert, because this is a way for you to establish your foothold in your industry in a specific space where you're able to grow and generate consistent revenue that then can support other things that you want to do and other ways that you can expand beyond that. There's something to be said for being able to have access to advisement and guidance right under your nose in the space where you're working day to day. There's something to be said for someone being able to come out and actually see what you have going on in your business and not necessarily just rely on what's being communicated over the phone. Oftentimes what we see when we go and do a visit and really get to know those who are working in that space and see the inefficiencies and the things that are going wrong as well as the things that are going right, it makes for better strategy and better recommendations and better outcomes in the long run. So being local is definitely a benefit. And although we can easily, I know, we can hop on a plane and we can fly across country or even internationally to get to another space, being able to tap into all of the wealth and opportunity that is right around you is number one of the easiest ways to start your consulting business. But then two, it can actually open the door to far more when you're able to amass a audience that is supporting your journey and is able to be the fuel to amplify the message that you're trying to put out there. So it's important for us to think about how we're able to grow locally, how we're able to pinpoint those individuals and those businesses that align with our goals and with our mission, and then work toward being able to collaborate with them and create something that is far greater. So I think you really get the picture as to how beneficial it can be to be the local expert in your space, to be the celebrity in your industry locally. Not because it's a matter of you just staying small. We're not trying to think small. We're not trying to play small. This is actually going to set us up for greater growth and expansion as you think about how you begin to evolve in your business and how you allow that to grow and advance. Sometimes having that platform, having that solid foundation where you have the support of others around you in your industry at a local level will help you grow faster as you move into the digital landscape and as you move into other territories, because then you have an established fan base. You've built a certain level of credibility that others can vouch for, and you're able to speak in greater detail about the needs and the desires that your target audience may have. So it's going to make it much easier for you to grow. Now, there are 3 ways that I think that we can do this effectively and do it without a lot of resources and in a very simple way. One of the first things, and this may seem very straightforward and something that you've probably likely thought about, but maybe felt as if you needed to have more resources in order to carry out effectively. And that is hosting educational or high value events locally. I know we think about events as being these grand scale productions. We're thinking about a beautiful ballroom, and we're thinking about how we're able to pull together hundreds of people and have wonderful speakers on stage. And we're thinking about all of these things in a very grand fashion. But look, it doesn't have to be like that starting out. Most people do not have that type of event starting out. And if they do, oftentimes they're typically jumping ahead of themselves and oftentimes moving a lot faster than they need to. Many times we can start with these events that are going to be more local, that are going to be more like gatherings, that are going to be opportunities for us to create these more intimate levels of connection with the audience that we want to serve. This can actually be something that you carry out in a small coffee shop, at a library. It can even be a small Airbnb where you're able to pull together some of the great minds in your industry that are in your local space or in your local area. There are a lot of different ways that this can actually look. But the overall purpose is for you to begin to build a local platform for yourself to share the educational knowledge that you have for others, and to also be able to provide a level of value that is going to help other consumers or businesses around you, depending upon which space you're in, grow and evolve. And the more that they find value, the more that they grow, the more that they are able to reference your work and the things that you've done, the more you are going to grow as an expert brand. That is going to help you to be able to propel your platform. Think about all the things that you can use from those types of events. Everything from being able to speak more directly in your messaging to being able to capture content that will resonate online or in the digital space, testimonials that will support the work that you have and the work that you have done, as well as just giving you the confidence to go out on a greater platform and share that similar message and know that it's more than likely going to resonate. There's so much to be gained from being able to put something together like that. And it doesn't have to be fancy. I often tell clients, when you're starting out and you're building these opportunities for connection, keep it simple. It literally can just be a Q&A that you're holding about your business, about your service, that you're then inviting others to. Maybe you're going to do some type of informational or some type of fireside chat and really dive deeper into the work that is most common in that area and the help that others may need. When they find value in what you're offering and they know that you are able to meet a need that they have, the more they're going to be connected to you, your business, and your expert brand. All of that can be done locally. So this is one of the key ways that we can start out by simply just hosting educational and high value events on a small scale. And then that can always grow into something much larger.
So there's a famous quote that says, 2 things remain irretrievable. That's time and a first impression. So look, when you are presenting your services to a client and you're ready to win that big lucrative contract, you want to put your best foot forward. And what better way to do that than brand collateral that showcases your high quality services in a way that stands out from the crowd. So if you're looking for a way to showcase your services, I want to offer you what I use and what I know has worked for me over time. And that's my offer magazine template. This is literally a Canva template that all you have to do is drop in your pictures, your logos, all of your information, and then allow someone to see firsthand the level of quality that you present when you touch any project that you are working with. To download, click the link in the description and make it yours today. I promise it will be putting your best foot forward.
Okay, so one of the next things that you can do and try is to actually volunteer at a high level with aligned charities. Now, I want to say that if you're going to choose this route, the one thing that we want to make sure that we're doing is remaining genuine in the work that we do. We want this to be something that we are doing not for the benefit of our business. That's not directly why we want to be giving our time and investing our time and energy and finances into a particular charity so that we can get the benefit in a financial return. But it truly is calling ourselves to a higher level where we're supporting those organizations or those businesses or those charities that align with the work that we intend and want to do, or align with the target audience that we want to be connected to. Because when we are exchanging value is not always exchanged in a monetary fashion or monetary format. Oftentimes we can exchange that value in goodwill, meaning that as we do work for others to benefit a greater need, that can be returned to us in a similar capacity where maybe those individuals will allow us to feel more connected to and have a commonality with some of the people that we want to eventually work with down the road. And because we built that goodwill, because we've been able to exchange that positive energy, then it will be returned at some point with business in terms of a collaboration because they have built a level of trust and understand that we have a certain level of depth that they may be looking for in someone that they're collaborating with. So, when you're thinking about this whole idea of working with organizations in more of a voluntary basis, this will also allow you to tap into greater needs when you can hear what's going on at the ground level. It's much easier for you to think about solutions and strategies and way to solve problems that's going to target what is really a concern or need for many of the people that you may be wanting to help. So that avenue of being able to show yourself as committed and consistent with helping others achieve a greater mission or goal will also help you achieve yours. And I think that's the part that we have to always be focused on, especially if we're going to go this route and align ourselves with another organization or charity. We want to make sure that we're doing that and we're doing it from a good place. And what we're trying to accomplish when we're using this as a particular strategy to connect with others on a local level is to build a commonality with other people in our area that value similar things. Because we always say it's all about the know, like, and trust. And this is one way of finding people that we can connect with, that can begin to learn more about us, that will hopefully like and love us, and that will trust us because we are showing ourselves genuinely to be one that is able to focus on and be committed to something that is greater than ourselves. So one of the second ways that you can do this and build your brand as an expert and build a space for you in your local community is to focus on volunteering at a higher level with aligned charities or aligned organizations. And one other thing I wanted to say about this is that I want you to even consider how you can possibly work on a board or serve as some leader in one of these organizations. How can you show up in a way where you're so focused on serving those around you that you allow that massive amount of positive energy and good work and good deed that you're putting into the universe? How can you allow that to be returned to you in a way that you can't even imagine? I'm just a firm believer in those things happening. So you may feel as if this tactic is a waste of your time. And if you do, don't do it, because that means it's not genuine. But I do believe, like, when you lean fully into the mission and the things that you say you want to accomplish, and you're helping to work toward that in any way that you can, it is going to give your mission, your journey, life. It's going to allow it to grow because people will fall in love with that. They're going to want to be a part of that. So this is one of the other things, is the volunteering piece. And then last but not least, the one thing that we cannot deny is that PR works. Being able to become published, being able to enter into the traditional media space can make a world of difference in your business. And one of the ways that you can easily do this is to do this on a local level. I know we want to shoot for some of the big and large magazines. We want to be an entrepreneur. We want to be in Fast Company. We want to be in HBR. We want to be on all these other major platforms. But I will say that being able to be a local media expert, to be able to do things such as maybe publishing in a local column or contributing to a local publication, no matter how small, having that consistent presence and building your name locally in the media space is going to help you to be a go-to for others who are looking for expert support in your industry. So when people think about that locally, they think of you. that will not only help you grow locally, but it's going to help you achieve your goal of much larger national publication because you've already tapped into that locally. You're already starting to build your portfolio with the local work that you're doing. It's much easier to get on your local news channel, to get on your local radio station, to get in your local industry journal, or even, get in a locally published newsletter. Look, nothing's too small here. We're working. We're building our name. We're building our brand. But to take advantage of those spaces so that you're able to contribute to the body of work that's forming in your industry, that's going to make a huge difference in where you go in the long term. So don't think about being local as being small. Don't think about trying to become a local go-to expert or a local celebrity as being something that is beneath you. This could actually be the thing that catapults your business. This can actually be your fast track way of getting your consulting business up and running and growing much quicker than others. Don't sleep on becoming the local go-to expert. I'm telling you, don't sleep on it. It works. It really does work. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm just going to recap really quickly, just in case you have been trying to write all this stuff down and haven't had a chance to copy it all down yet. One of the first ways that you can grow as a local go-to expert is to host an educational or high-value event. The second way is that you can volunteer at a high level with aligned charities or organizations. And the third is to become your local media expert. I want you to try this. And I want you to let me know how it goes. And if you're listening to this episode and you've enjoyed it, I want you to share it with a friend. Make sure that you pass the word along so they continue to reach more and more people and spread the message and the education, at least that's going on here, all of our conversations that's going on here. And then don't forget to leave your review on Apple Podcasts or leave your rating on Spotify. That definitely helps the podcast to grow. And always connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I love it when I get to hear people from the podcast. If you reach out, just say podcast listener, and I will know exactly where you found me because I love to keep these conversations going even beyond this episode and all the episodes that are here on the platform. But I really have enjoyed this conversation. I want you to think long and hard about your ability to tap into your local environment and become that local go-to expert that people can't deny. And I will see you again next week. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave your review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We're on a mission to increase the success and longevity of women in consulting, and you can help us do that. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so let's connect at Dr. Angelina Davis on Instagram or LinkedIn. And don't forget to visit excelatconsulting.com for more information to support your consulting journey. Until next time, take care.